Hi, this is Mark Kermode. Thanks for downloading, or indeed watching on YouTube, this Kermode on Film podcast. We are back at the Sun Pub in the glittery heart of London's West End. Thank you very much to the Sun for letting us use the upstairs. Today, Jack, because Christmas is coming round and Christmas means Knives Out, what are we talking about?
We are going to be talking about Knives Out. Yeah. And you will find me a quiet, passive, respectful observer of the truth.
Are you going to do that a lot?
I might do it quite a bit, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
we're going to fast forward.
We're going to be
Plus
talking,
20.
We're going to be talking about all three Knives Out films with spoilers.
With spoilers.
So if you haven't seen
Wake
any
Up
of
Dead
them,
Man.
Wake Up Dead Man specifically, don't watch this, or do I'm Not Your Dad. Since it's Christmas, Mark.
Yes, Jack.
I thought that we could, for the listeners, I've got a hat and I've got some like an elf headband situation. Which one do you want? Oh, he's gone for the elf headband.
Well, it's only because it's less intrusive. Do you want me to put this on?
Ideally, yeah.
Now I'm thinking I made a bad decision with the thing, because you just look like you're wearing a hat.
It suits me.
I'm wearing what am I wearing?
It's like an elf's hat on a headband. It
an
looks like
elf's
you're wearing
hat on a headband.
a tiny little elf's hat.
Okay.
Now we're in the spirit.
Happy Christmas, everybody. This is what Christmas is about. This and murder. On the subject of murder, so we said that we'd talk in this podcast about the Knives Out movies, of which there are now 3. You've just seen the most recent one in the cinema, but of course by the time people are watching this, it will be available on Netflix. It has become something of a Christmas tradition to enjoy the new... Am I going to this is going to do this all the way through, isn't it? It's going to be this... I might take this off.
No, I think stick with it. Okay. I think we've committed.
Right,
Come on,
okay.
Be in the holiday spirit.
Okay, so tell me what you think of Knives Out. No, it's actually called Wake Up Dead Man - A Knives Out Mystery.
Yeah, which I think is something that's starting to slightly bother Rian Johnson. I think he wishes it was just called a Benoit Blanc mystery.
Oh, okay, fine.
So, so we've got Knives Out, Glass Onion, Wake Up Dead Man. Firstly, I just think they're fantastic films, all of them. I enjoy all of them fairly equally, and I also think that Rian Johnson is a pretty flawless director. In my opinion, I don't think I haven't seen Brothers Bloom, but everything else that he's made, I'm a real fan of. How do you feel about him as a director?
I think he's a terrific director. It's kind of well known that you and I think he did a bang-up job with Star Wars.
He did the best Star Wars.
And then...
Everybody, yeah, I said it. Luke didn't behave the way I wanted him to. Oh, grow up. What did you want to happen? Did you want Rey to give him a lightsaber and go, oh, thanks very much, let's go save the world? That's not a story. Yeah, The Last Jedi is the best Star Wars movie.
And it's good that you're over it.
You all need to move on.
Yes. Pot, kettle. Yeah, no, I think he's a really good director, and I think that the Knives Out films are just a constant joy. The thing that I really like about them is, funny enough, I was talking to Kim Newman about this just recently, because a while back, I think when the first one came out, we did a thing on a program I do on Radio 4 called Screenshot about whodunits. And I had done an on stage with Rian Johnson, and he was saying that the reason whodunits are interesting is because they're kind of why done it and how done it, as opposed to just who done it. If it's literally just a matter of pulling a rabbit out of a hat and going, oh, it's this person. And all the best whodunits, they aren't. They're really about the intrigue around the characters. Anyway, Kim said this interesting thing, which was that sometimes those things, they're most interesting before the thing happens. It's just the kind of the being introduced to the community and being introduced to the characters and all that. I mean, I know that the way it works is you have to gather everybody together and interrogate them, but it's all the details of all the ensemble characters that is really what's interesting. And kind of whodunits had sort of fallen out of fashion. People thought whodunit means Agatha Christie, therefore it's old and stayed. Incidentally, if anyone's read any Agatha Christie, it's surprisingly modern. I mean, they are page-turning stuff. It's very, very easy to sort of read the Agatha Christie stuff. But the ones that work best are the ones that draw you in and do something, along with the murder mystery. And I think in the case of all 3 of them, actually increasingly so, they've become very contemporary in the sort of the social mores that they're looking at. So in the case of Glass Onion, there was a lot of Elon Musk, there was a lot of tech bros, there was a lot of that stuff going on. And in the case of this, there's a lot of twisted religion, there's a lot of cults, there's a lot of, bad people leading the flock astray, which is very, very Trump's America.
I mean, I actually think that what Rian Johnson has managed to do with Wake Up Dead Man is take Trump's America, distill it down into the microcosm of this little church,
yes,
and turned it into a metaphor without it being obvious or annoying. Because I think it could be obvious and annoying. And I think you're right that all three of the Knives Out films have maintained this kind of very current, socially political, very satirical look at the now, the here and now. The first one is all about like this woman, Marta, who everybody in the family says, she's part of the family. Family's from Uruguay. And then the next person will be like, she's from Mexico. And like nobody knows where she's from. Yeah, and it's about...
no one cares. That's the point. It's not they don't know. They don't care.
Yes. They've invited her into the house. They say that she's part of the house, but she's not really. She's there to be the help, quote unquote. And then, you're right. Glass Onion is all about tech bros and how they want to be perceived as being geniuses, but actually underneath it all, they're fucking idiots.
Yeah. And then I think that the thing about the church is the kind of the distillation of current America is very good. Incidentally, when I reviewed this on Kermode and Mayo, it was the usual thing that people said, Kermode sees politics in everything. Why can't he just see it as a murder mystery? Why does he have to read? You go, I mean, I know that there are times that one can bring that stuff to bear on something in which maybe it's not really there. I'm sorry, it is really there now. Of course it's really there, and you'd have to be really obtuse to think it wasn't.
Yes,
but I think you're right about the fact that it doesn't feel awkward. It doesn't feel like, it's being rammed down our throats. Because if you wanted to, you could watch it and never think about those things.
He never invokes Trump's name.
No.
Even in the first one, there's a conversation that happens in the other room where you overhear them say, like, well, there's actually a very blunt conversation happening about people being put in cages and like maybe he's like this, but maybe that's the kind of guy we needed. And they're all talking about it. We all know, but he never has to invoke the horrible T word.
And there's a brilliant thing in Glass Onion, which is that everybody thinks that this tech bro millionaire who owns his island, which is very Jeffrey Epstein now, isn't it? That he's a genius. But when he does the speech, he uses words wrong. He gets things completely wrong because he's an idiot.
Imbreviate.
That's right. Yes, exactly. Yeah. But what I love about that is it's really nicely done. That the assumption is somebody who's made this much money, has this much wealth, has their own island, is able to just bring it. They must be brilliant. And there's also a really great gag in that, which is, and I'm sorry that we are spoiling these, but we said at the beginning,
warned at the
beginning, so that there is a really, really good gag in it in which Benoit Blanc solves what the sort of tech bro character wants to be set up in 1 second.
Yes.
He goes, okay, go. And then he tells him exactly what it is.
Beyond that, even deeper for the Miles Bron character, at the moment when Benoit Blanc talks to him and he's like, why are you here, Benoit Blanc? And he's like, well, you invited me. And he's like, no, I didn't. And then he gives him the idea that somebody has repackaged it. And then he goes, oh, somebody has done it. And he goes, well, no, you should stay for the murder mystery. I don't want to toot my own horn, but it's pretty next level. And then when he solves that mystery, he says Gillian Flynn wrote it. So the whole time he's not actually done anything. He always is relying on other smarter people to do things for him.
Yeah, which is absolutely Elon Musk, isn't it?
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
So should
we go in order?
Yeah, okay, fine. So the first one, the first thing I remember thinking with the first one was when Benoit Blanc turns up. The first thing is, hang on, is he going to do that voice all the way through the film?
It sort of didn't surprise me because I'm a really big fan of Logan Lucky. I love that Steven Soderbergh film where Daniel Craig turns up for the first time, I think, during his Bond tenure and was doing something very, very different. In that, he's doing a southern accent as the amazing character called Joe Bang.
Joe Bang.
Who's an explosives... Oh, for those listeners...
I'm going to put that on the table. It's fallen off my head.
We've lost the elf hat.
But the thing I like about it is that accent works with that character. And at the beginning, you go, oh, hang on, that's broad. But then what you realise is that it is actually part of the psychology of the character, that in the same way as if you look at like Poirot, for example, and we all think of, what are the classic things of Poirot, and Poirot's been done on screen by various different actors in various different ways, but there are certain things about Poirot that we know.
The little moustache.
Yeah, but I think that actually the Benoit Blanc character, as the movies have gone on, has just become, I mean, he's leaned into it for a start. It's like, there's absolutely no sense that backing off at all. He's leaned into it. But it is the character, and he has to talk like that because otherwise that character doesn't make sense. Because the way that he talks is kind of the way that his mind is. It's like an illustration of the way his mind is working, and I think it's terrific.
It's also disarming as well. It makes other people underestimate him. Because he, even in the first movie, Chris Evans' character, who, spoilers, turns out to be the bad guy.
Yeah.
He calls him like, what is this, CSI, KFC?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, but then that's very Columbo, because the whole thing about Columbo, you're too young for this, but Columbo, which was the great detective series when I was a kid on 70s television with Peter Falk.
I had a grandmother. I'm aware of Columbo.
Yeah, okay, you're aware of it, but it was the whole thing was because he was shabby and he had this overcoat that kind of looked like he'd slept in a dustbin, and he would bumble around, and then
just one more thing.
Just one more thing, but the way in which the fact that he talked like it was all part of the guy hasn't got a mind like a steel trap. In fact, funnily enough, I'll tell you, I know I'm accused of getting The Exorcist into everything, but there is a genuine connection.
I wonder why.
When The Exorcist came out, some people accused Blatty of ripping off Columbo for the character of Bill Kinderman.
Really?
Because Bill Kinderman is this detective that 1 minute his mind seems to be like a Labrador wandering around in a marsh, and then suddenly this steel trap thing. But of course, the writing of Kinderman predates all of that stuff, and so it's not that one led to the other at all. It's just that there is a sort of a similar thing going on, which is there's nothing more disarming than somebody who seems to be outlandish and ridiculous, who then does just one more thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that the Benoit Blanc thing is because he's ridiculous, because the way he dresses, the way he stands, the way he speaks, everything about him is ridiculous. And consequently, even now, even in the movies in which he's got the reputation of it, even now you can see people being disarmed by it and thinking, he's just an old fool.
Yeah, I love the quirks that he has. I love that he's into show tunes. Mm-hmm. That in the first one it just cuts and he's singing along to, I can't remember what the show it's from, but it immediately coded him as a queer character, and then that was confirmed in Glass Onion, obviously, where his husband is Hugh Grant. And that continues that love of show tunes into Wake Up Dead Man. And I think I will do a favourite Benoit Blanc-ism from each movie. And I think the first one is a very popular one, but it has to be, it makes no damn sense. Compels me, though.
That's right.
Then takes a puff of his cigar.
I also love the fact that there is a character in the first Knives Out who can only tell the truth.
Yes.
Who literally vomits if asked to lie.
What a great little story quirk that is.
It's just genius. We're going to have a character who cannot lie. Mm-hmm. Literally cannot lie. And that's, because that old, the little riddle that people used to do, that you come to a crossroads in a road and there's two people. One of them is somebody who always tells the truth, and one of them is somebody who always lies. How do you find out which is the right way to go? This is the answer to this.
Yes.
Yeah, fine. But that thing about one of them is a character who cannot lie.
Just remind me what the answer is.
So the answer is you say, if I ask the other person, what would they tell me?
Right.
And then it's the other one. So it's because if it's okay. So the way it works, right? Say the answer is you get to the fork and it's the right fork. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So the person who always tells the truth would say the right fork. The person who always lies would say that person would say the left fork. So you take the right fork. Or if you ask the person who tells the truth what the person who lies would say, they would say the left fork. So you take the right. So it's always the opposite of what the answer is.
Okay, understood. Got it.
Good. I'm glad we cleared that up.
I know it as the reason why it threw me initially is because I know it as two doors, and I initially was just thinking, hang on.
Okay, yeah.
What is this riddle? And yes.
Yeah, but the principle is the same thing. But I'm saying that the idea of taking that and going, let's actually have a character who, it's not just that they can't lie like they don't like it, they literally throw up.
Yes, there's a physical response to it. And I think that goes with the story overall, actually, which is kind of it's in conversation with Agatha Christie.
Yes.
It's in response to that.
Absolutely.
So you think the entire time that you're following somebody who accidentally murdered somebody and is trying to get away with that because they're truly innocent and they didn't mean to do it.
Yes.
And then the reveal is that's not the case at all.
No.
You haven't been following the murderer. You've been following somebody who is, as Benoit Blanc puts it, a good person.
A good person.
And you find out that it was always Chris Evans in his fantastic jumpers.
Yeah, I forgot the jumpers.
And I just think that all of that is so clever because it's such a different angle at coming into a murder mystery that we'd never seen before, which is why I think, and we'll get to this a bit more when we talk about the others, that the first Knives Out is always going to hold something kind of special for everybody because we hadn't seen something, like you said, they'd gone out of fashion for a long time.
Really gone out of fashion,
We hadn't had a good murder mystery story that was set in that kind of like old house and you know those kind of suspects for a long time. Something that felt fresh because we'd seen like, you know, Murder on the Orient Express, you know, and things like that had been redone, but never a true like original take on the murder mystery. And now they've completely, because of Knives Out, come back into fashion.
Yeah,
there's lots of movies like that. There's TV shows like that. And so I think the subsequent movies have only, I think, well, we'll get to this, but Wake Up Dead Man is the best one.
Yeah, I think it is.
And I think that Glass Onion is on a par with Knives Out, but I think that the first Knives Out is always just going to feel special because of the time in which it came out.
Well, the big thing with Glass Onion is that visually it's a lot more kind of splashy. And
I think that's my actual one criticism. I know it has to be because it's set on a tropical island and it's Greece and actually the Miles Bron is an idiot and doesn't have any style of his own, and so his island and the decoration in his mansion is already gaudy, but the first one is so lush to look at and the second one is ugly but on purpose, but that doesn't make it like, you know, it doesn't change that I'm like, this is ugly, this is like, compared to the first one, it's an uglier film.
Well, I remember because I saw I saw the second one in the cinema. I think I must have seen it at the BFI because maybe it played as part of the LFF. And I remember watching it thinking, oh, this is interesting because this is a movie. Although it's, you know, Netflix is the place where people end up saying this is a movie, and what all this visual stuff is doing is telling you a movie. And then, of course, once you get into it, you go, no, that's actually not what it's about. It's not there to go, you need to see this on a big screen, although we know that Rian Johnson would ideally like you to see it on a big screen, but he also understands that the place it's going to sit is Netflix. It's there because it's the plot. The plot is he's created this completely crass artificial world in which everything is wrong and all the judgments about it are completely wrong because he's got no idea because he is an idiot. And I think I was like 10-15 minutes in before I go, oh no, it's not just to do with it's to do with telling the story. I really like Glass Onion.
Me too.
I know some people were kind of sniffy about it, but
some people have also said that it's aged kind of badly because it's so set in the pandemic, but I don't agree. I think it's aged perfectly well and the script's still very clever. I do think that it does take a little longer than both Knives Out and Wake Up Dead Man to kind of feel like it's finding its footing because the murder takes so long to happen and the story twists and stuff take a little bit longer, but I think it's just as smart and just as entertaining.
I think it's really entertaining. I love the way that the mystery plays out. I love the fact that you're doing the thing that you want to be doing with a whodunit, which is you're kind of guessing all the way through, but you've sort of made assumptions about characters, some of which turn out to be true, some of which turn out to be completely misled. And the thing I really like is how much fun he's having with it. Because, again, I had interviewed Rian Johnson. I'm sure you've spoken to him as well. He's so enthusiastic about it. I mean, he loves the movies. He loves the characters. He loves constructing the world. And I think in Glass Onion, actually even more so than in Wake Up Dead Man, I think Wake Up Dead Man is a better film, but it's better because it's darker, because it's got a much darker heart. In the case of Glass Onion, it just feels to me like he's literally, you can almost hear him laughing with and at the situation.
It's a much broader comedy, the second one, on purpose.
Yes.
And I did see it in the cinema as well. I actually saw it twice, and one of the times I saw it in the Prince Charles Cinema here in London, where they played it on 35mm film.
Wow.
And it was beautiful looking. And when I said earlier that it's an uglier film, there was something about seeing it like that kind of softened a lot of it, because it's a harsh kind of almost plasticky looking film, especially when they're inside that Glass Onion office and there's that really harsh sunlight and everything, and there's all the gaudy sort of like neon lighting from the Glass Onion logo.
It's horrible.
It's horrible.
It's absolutely horrible.
And apparently, I don't know this to be true, but apparently in his big living room where there's all the posters on the wall, one of the posters is upside down, one of the paintings is upside down.
Because he's an idiot and he doesn't know. That's the thing.
And just to remain consistent, my favourite Benoit Blanc ism, I think, from the second one, unless I'm misremembering something, but it has to be Miles Braun is an idiot. And then somebody goes, oh, it's so dumb, it's genius. And he goes, no, it's just dumb.
Okay, so from the laughs of that to, I think, the much more dark-hearted Wake Up Dead Man.
And we've already established as well, we both think it's the best Knives Out movie.
I do think it is.
I think it is.
I think it is. And the thing I like about it, so firstly, it's got that kind of classic Agatha Christie thing. It's the impossible crime. Mm-hmm. So the central character walks into an enclosed space. The whole congregation of the church see him walk in on his own. A minute later, he's found dead with a demon's head knife stabbed in his back. There aren't any moving walls. How did it happen? So, okay, it's the impossible crime. It's the perfect impossible crime. But then, as you said before, what you realise is that everything about the congregation around the church works because it is a kind of distillation of current American life. And the person who is the lead suspect, which is the character played by Josh O'Connor, who is this priest who's been sent there because he's punched out a deacon. Right?
It's such a... I mean, firstly, Josh O'Connor is unbelievable. He's so good.
I think he should be James Bond. I think he should be James Bond.
I agree. I would watch him in anything. I think he's so charismatic and so talented. And I love that the first half an hour of this film is following Josh O'Connor. You don't think, where's Benoit Blanc? Maybe you do a little bit, but mostly you're just like completely captivated by him. Yeah. And I love that his story when he's playing a priest kind of lines up with a cop movie.
Yeah.
That like he's done wrong and his superior saying, you've got to go here. It's basically like the start of Hot Fuzz. We're sending you here.
That's right.
This is what we're doing.
Yeah, we're sending you to a backwater. Exactly.
And I love that as well, that the way he's written these priests at the beginning where... after you find out that some other priest has said something offensive and Josh O'Connor has punched his lights out, the other priest, which is played by Jeffrey Wright, says, look, none of us like him. We all think, none of us blame you for what you did. And even he's having the priests talk in a way that you don't expect priests to talk.
No. Unless, of course, you've seen The Exorcist, in which case you do, because and also that thing, police and priests. There is a real thing about the way that policemen talk and the way that priests talk. It's the thing about male societies that the idea is that police and priests are kind of indistinguishable. But the reason I like that, look, we all hate him, is that you can imagine the angry captain in the thing going, look,
give me your gun and your badge.
Yeah, but also, okay, so you shot the guy. Fine, we all would have done, but I have to now send you to Hoboken because there's nothing else I can do. And then I think there is something really properly malignant at the centre of Wake Up Dead Man. I mean, not least the fact that it's a really twisted twist on the Easter myth. The fact that it's called Wake Up Dead Man, it's not a plot spoiler to say there is a resurrection involved in it. And it's got that real kind of cult feeling to it, that it's about people who have gone mad, that they have become completely deranged by being led by Josh Brolin's fire and brimstone preacher who's alienated everybody, but it's kind of got around in this kind of hardcore of people. And there's this whole story about his relatives who have been cheated, and it's dark, it's nasty, it's really properly unpleasant.
Yes, and I really love that he's not afraid, even though I think it is subtle enough that somebody could watch it and not go, this is Trump's America. You could easily just not think that in the moment. He's not shy about it, that Andrew Scott at one point literally says, there is nothing you could say or do that would ever make us stop following you. Yeah. Like, it's so pointed.
It is.
And I really like that it is... So Rian Johnson has talked about a lot in the press tour for this film, how he grew up a very religious man. He grew up a Christian, and he is no longer a Christian, and he used to identify himself through his relationship with God. And now this story feels like him wrestling with that. And I like that Benoit Blanc comes in as an atheist, and he speaks to Josh O'Connor, who is a believer. And it doesn't feel like Ricky Gervais sort of talking about how everyone who isn't an atheist and anyone who believes in God is an idiot. It feels like an actual debate and a discussion about two opposing sides that both have kind of equal kind of weight in the conversation.
If I can bring this back once again to The Exorcist, I
think you would find any way to do that.
No,
go on, I'm joking.
This thing, it's okay. So the central discussion in the first exorcist, the great irony of The Exorcist is Ellen Burstyn's mother is an atheist, and she goes to a priest and she asks the priest for an exorcism, and he says no. Okay, so it's completely the wrong way round. The atheist says, my daughter is possessed, and the priest says, I don't think she is. And then in the sequel, in Legion, it's all about the relationship between Father Dyer, who is a Catholic priest, and Bill Kinderman, who is a detective, who is Jewish by race, but is kind of either agnostic or atheist, just sort of, has all this argument about the believing. And one of the reasons I love those books is because they're exactly as you just said. They are a rational argument about the existence or the non-existence of God, going on in an entertaining fashion, going on within the context of a murder mystery. I mean, the more I think about this, and I know that I can make everything like this, but the more I think about this, the more I think there is a connection between those things. And you know for a fact that Rian Johnson has seen and loves The Exorcist.
Of course, yeah.
So, it's
but I think it feels more to me like he's wrestling with a more personal kind of debate that he's had, which is why I think it works so well in this, that it doesn't feel like his point of view now is outweighing his point of view of his younger self.
But then, okay, there is no one more sanctimonious than a militant atheist. I mean, it's the weirdest thing about, I believe that there is not a God, and therefore you must believe that as well. Isn't that kind of? I mean, I know the whole thing about but I can believe it because I can prove it with science. The fact is, it is perfectly possible to believe things that you can't prove with science. I mean, you and I are friends, right?
I believe so.
Prove it. It's like, what do you mean prove it? You just are friends. How do you know? How do you know? It's just like, well, because you do. You choose to believe. I mean, I don't know how the television works, but I believe it does.
Yeah.
That's an article of faith.
I'm not sure why it rains, and I'm not sure if you are either. Is a great joke that I've just stolen from Mike Birbiglia. Yeah, it is like I'm. Sometimes we just accept things for the way they are, but I think what I'm kind of scratching at is that it's the first time. It felt very fresh. It was like the first time in ages that I've seen that debate, because I'm an atheist, or more agnostic. I didn't grow up in a household where religion was truly like part of my world.
But I did.
My girlfriend is Scottish and Catholic, and doesn't believe, but grew up in that kind of atmosphere, and so kind of still carries that weight of what they call Catholic guilt, and it kind of becomes part of so much of the
Catholics don't have the monopoly on guilt. I had Methodist guilt, okay, so it's just, I always love that. Yes, Catholic guilt. Yeah, no, we've all got that,
But it's not something that was ever a big part of my life, and it was certainly like not conversations that my parents would have with me. There was never. It was like if somebody was religious in my school, they were the weirdo. It was like as clean cut as that. Religion was not a big part of my life, and so it's interesting to have gotten older and then to leave where I came from and to meet other people and to realise, it is still a huge part of a lot of people's lives. And what I think Wake Up Dead Man does really well is balance out that conversation in a way that I haven't seen done in such a long time. It felt like equal. It didn't feel like there was a winner in that conversation, which is really nice to see, even as somebody who sides with Daniel Craig's Benoit Blanc.
It's interesting for me because the school I went to was there was a very large Jewish, a very large number of pupils were Jewish, and some of them were very orthodox and observant, others not so much. And so when there were Jewish holidays, the school would be half empty, so you couldn't do lessons that moved anything on because half the class weren't there. And so we would, and then I was in a band with a bunch of people from Wilson, with people like Saul Rosenberg. We used to rehearse in the Wilson synagogue because we could use the synagogue because Saul was there. And so although I was brought up Methodist, I spent an awful lot of my teenage years around quite orthodox Judaism. And I love all the rituals of it. I mean, I just absolutely love that stuff. I really, really like those rituals. And I was quite religious for most of my life. I mean,
really? I don't think I knew that.
I don't go on about it, but, it was...
No, about it.
Well, although I'm sure people would say that I do. I went to church regularly until only fairly recently.
Do you think that's why The Exorcist speaks to you so much?
I think there's no way you can obsess about that movie in the way that I have if it's not speaking to you on it. I mean, I was really interested in. Well, one of the reasons I love the Josh O'Connor character in the same way that I love the Father Karras character is that is a believable person wrestling with actual moral dilemmas and sorting it out through through their religion. And I mean, when I was in Manchester, I used to do this thing. You'd go and seek out priests and talk to them about, I was the annoying person who wanted to have the argument about the existence or non-existence of God. That was just a thing that I was always interested in. So yeah, I do agree that the interesting thing about that conversation is that there isn't a winner or a loser. But I also think that what's significant is that the reason that movie works is because it's not him doing, okay, I'm just going to do another whodunit. It is actually, as you say, him making a personal movie about something that is very personal to him, about something that is key to him as a filmmaker amidst the political landscape, which is also key to him because he's a really solid guy. And it happens to be a Knives Out murder mystery as well.
Yeah, and I do think that the extra genius on top of that is that a Knives Out movie set in a church with all of that thematic, meaty stuff going on, it's about confession.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's good.
That's good. The end of the movie is not a reveal. It was this person.
Yeah.
It is about somebody confessing their sins.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. Okay, so to sum up, we love all three of them.
I love all three of them.
I'd be happy if he did another one
Give
every
me
year.
50 more.
Yeah, keep doing that. It makes Christmas very, very nice. Thank you very much for listening to, or indeed watching, this podcast. If you want more movie conversation with me and Simon Mayo, that's Kermode and Mayo's Take, is available wherever you get your podcasts. Happy Christmas. We're going to be back with a New Year's podcast,
Yes,
aren't we?
We're going to be talking about Wicked and Wicked for Good, so look forward to that. Make sure to like this video or subscribe to the channel or subscribe to the podcast, however you choose to enjoy them. And I hope you have a very happy New Year, and we'll see you then. See you then, Mark.
Happy Christmas, everyone.
Oh, and just to add, my favourite Benoit Blancism from Wake Up Dead Man is Scooby-Dooby-Doo.
Scooby-Dooby-Doo.